Mind Detox, Clearing Overthinking, Anxiety and Mental Noise, written and published by Vox Reads. Introduction. You are about to begin a quiet journey. A journey into the part of your life that is rarely given time, space or care. Your mind. If you are listening to this book, you may be tired of thinking too much, tired of feeling anxious, tired of carrying a noise inside your head that no one else can hear. And if that is true, you are not alone. Many people today live with a busy mind that never slows down, a mind that jumps from worry to worry, without rest. This book is designed to help you change that. Its purpose is simple: to help you clear mental clutter, to help you ease anxiety, and to help you create a calmer inner world. Throughout this audiobook, you will learn how the mind gets stuck. You will see why overthinking happens. You will discover what triggers stress and mental noise. And most importantly, you will learn practical ways to break these cycles. The path you are about to take is not complicated. It does not ask you to master difficult techniques. It does not demand perfection. Instead, it invites you to slow down, to notice what is happening inside you, and to create gentle space where clarity can grow. Each chapter will guide you step by step. You will learn how to interrupt worry loops, how to calm your inner voice, how to let go of what you cannot control, and how to build habits that support long-term peace. Think of this book as a detox for your mind, a process of releasing what no longer serves you, a process of choosing clarity over chaos, calm over noise, and presence over panic. As you listen, take your time, let the words settle, let the ideas breathe, and allow yourself to move at a pace that feels natural for you. By the end of this journey, you will understand your mind in a new way. You will know how to create stillness when you need it. You will feel lighter, clearer, and more grounded, not because life becomes easier, but because you become calmer on the inside. Now let us begin the work of letting go. Let us clear the noise. Let us create a mind that feels like home. Chapter 1. The weight you can't see. You carry a weight every day. You may not see it. You may not speak about it. But you feel it. It sits behind your thoughts. It moves inside your chest. And it follows you into every moment of your life. This weight is not physical. It is mental. It is the buildup of unspoken worries, quiet fears, unfinished thoughts, old memories, and constant pressure. It is the hidden burden that grows when the mind has no space to breathe. Many people never notice this weight until it becomes too heavy to ignore. They walk through the day with a tight jaw and a restless mind. They fall asleep exhausted, yet unfulfilled, and they tell themselves, "This is just how life is." But it is not. Life feels heavy only when your mind is carrying more than it can hold. Imagine someone walking with a backpack. Every hour, someone places a stone inside. One stone is small, 2 stones are manageable, but with time, the weight becomes overwhelming. The person keeps walking because they believe they must. They never think to open the backpack and take a few stones out. This is how mental clutter works. Small thoughts build into heavy loads, and if you never pause to release them, they shape every part of your life. Maybe you have felt this yourself. You sit at your desk and stare at your work, but your mind is somewhere else. You are thinking about a conversation from last week, or a mistake you made years ago, or a fear about what might happen tomorrow. Your body is present, but your mind is carrying its own load in the background. You try to stay focused, yet you feel drained, even if you have done nothing physically demanding. This is the silent weight of an overloaded mind. A woman once shared her experience with this invisible weight. She said she felt tired all the time, even on days when nothing stressful happened. She described it as carrying a storm inside my head. When she finally paused and listened to herself, she realized she was replaying the same worries over and over. Financial doubts, family pressure, old regret, future fear. None of them loud, all of them constant. That is the nature of mental weight. It grows slowly, so you barely notice it until it begins to shape your mood, your choices, and your entire sense of well-being. You may wonder how this weight forms. It forms when you ignore small concerns. It forms when you push down emotions to keep going. It forms when you judge yourself harshly and never give yourself permission to rest. And it forms when you try to control everything around you even when nothing is fully in your control. The first step in this journey is simple. You must learn to see the weight you carry. Take a moment and notice your mind right now. Is it calm, or is it full? Is it clear, or is it crowded? Do you feel free, or do you feel pulled in many directions at once? Awareness is the beginning of mental detox. You cannot release what you do not recognize. Think of a closet filled with things you never sorted. At first, closing the door seems easier than cleaning it, but the more you avoid it, the harder it becomes to open. Your mind works in a similar way. Unsorted thoughts, unspoken feelings, unfinished decisions, and silent fears create clutter that piles up over time. The door stays shut, but the weight remains inside. There is something powerful about naming what you feel. When you identify the weight, you are no longer controlled by it. You begin to understand what drains your energy. You learn what stresses your mind, and you discover what needs to be released. You may notice that some thoughts are not yours. They come from past expectations, from old lessons that were never questioned, from voices that shaped you long ago. Carrying these thoughts is like carrying someone else's stones in your backpack. They feel heavy because they were never meant for you. You may also notice emotional weight, moments you never processed, words that hurt you but were never spoken about. Stress that has been sitting inside your body for years. Letting yourself feel these emotions is not a sign of weakness. It is an act of cleansing. It is the beginning of freedom. And then there is the weight of constant thinking. It is the pressure to understand everything, the need to predict the future, the habit of replaying the past. This mental activity feels automatic, but it can be softened once you learn to listen to your mind with kindness, rather than urgency. The purpose of this chapter is not to solve the problem. It is to help you see it, to recognize the quiet heaviness inside you, and to understand that you no longer need to carry it alone. As you move through this book, you will explore the patterns behind this weight. You will learn why the mind becomes crowded. You will discover how to release what no longer serves you, and you will begin building a new relationship with your thoughts. This is the first step in your mind detox. Not pushing the weight away, not hiding it, but seeing it clearly. Once you can see it, you can change it, and once you can change it, you can finally begin to feel light again. Let us continue. Chapter 2. Why the mind gets stuck. The mind is powerful, but it is not perfect. It tries to protect you, guide you, and warn you, yet at times it traps you in the same thoughts again and again. When this happens, you feel caught in a loop. You think, and then you think about your thinking. You try to stop, but the thoughts return with even greater force. To understand how to free yourself, you first need to understand why the mind gets stuck at all. Many people believe overthinking is a sign of weakness. They believe it happens because they are not strong enough or disciplined enough. But this belief is wrong. Overthinking is not a failure. It is a survival pattern. It is the mind trying to protect you in the only way it knows. The mind becomes stuck when it feels unsafe. This sense of danger may come from real events, but more often it comes from the unknown. The mind fears uncertainty. It wants answers. It wants control. So it begins to search for solutions, even when there are none. Imagine your mind as a guard standing at the gates of your life. The guard is always looking for threats. When the guard feels unsure, it raises the alarm. It repeats the same warnings, even when the danger is not real. This is how mental loops begin. The mind keeps repeating thoughts because it believes repetition will keep you safe. Here is a simple example. A man once shared that every night he replayed the same fear. He worried about losing his job, even though his boss praised him often. No threat existed, but his mind kept sending warnings. He realized the fear did not come from his workplace. It came from his childhood, where instability was common and safety was never promised. His mind had learned to stay alert. Even as an adult, the pattern continued. This is how emotional memory influences the present moment. Another reason the mind gets stuck is unfinished emotion. When you experience a strong feeling and do not process it, the feeling does not disappear. It waits. It sits underneath your thoughts, hoping for attention. So the mind keeps circling back to situations that carry emotional charge. It does this because it wants to resolve the emotion, even if you no longer remember the cause. The mind also gets stuck when it holds too many responsibilities at once. Modern life demands constant action. You juggle work, relationships, money, health and personal goals. Your mind tries to carry all of it. At some point it becomes overwhelmed. When the mind is overloaded, it loses its ability to move smoothly from one thought to another. It freezes. It clings to whatever thought is loudest at the moment. This creates a loop of worry, pressure and exhaustion. There is another pattern worth understanding. The mind gets stuck when you chase perfection. Many people believe that if they think long enough, they will find the perfect answer. They believe perfection will remove risk or pain. But perfection does not bring clarity. It brings paralysis. The search for the perfect outcome stops you from making any decision at all. This is why perfectionism often looks like hesitation, procrastination, and fear. You may notice this in your own life. You try to make the perfect choice. You want the perfect timing. You want the perfect plan. You wait, you think. You prepare. But the moment never feels right, and the mind stays stuck in endless analysis. Another factor is the brain's natural tendency to focus on threats. This is part of human evolution. The brain is built to pay more attention to danger than to peace. This helped our ancestors survive. But today it creates mental noise. You may receive 10 pieces of good news, but your mind will hold on to the one negative detail. The negative thought becomes the loudest one. It becomes the loop your mind repeats. There is also the influence of habit. Thoughts can become habits just like actions. If you practice worry every day, your mind becomes skilled at worry. If you practice fear every day, your mind becomes skilled at fear. The mind follows the path it knows best, even if that path brings stress. These patterns do not mean something is wrong with you. They mean your mind is trying to help, even if its method makes life harder. The mind repeats thoughts because repetition feels like safety. It holds on to fear because fear feels protective. It avoids decisions because stillness feels safer than action. Understanding this removes shame and opens the door to change. Now that you know why the mind gets stuck, you can begin to approach your thoughts with compassion rather than frustration. You can begin to notice the patterns that trap you. You can begin to understand the difference between real danger and imagined fear, and you can begin to create space where clarity can replace confusion. In the next chapter, you will explore how anxiety grows within these loops. You will see how fear gains strength, and you will learn how to calm the cycle before it takes control. This knowledge will give you a deeper understanding of your mind and a stronger ability to guide it. For now, remember this truth. Your mind is not your enemy. It is simply stuck in patterns that were once meant to protect you. And with awareness and gentle practice, these patterns can be changed. Chapter 3. The Anxiety Cycle. Anxiety does not appear out of nowhere. It grows through a pattern, a predictable loop that pulls you in, holds your attention, and makes you feel trapped. Most people feel the effects of anxiety, but never see the structure underneath it. Once you understand that structure, you can begin to break it. The anxiety cycle begins with a single spark, a thought, a feeling, a memory, a moment of uncertainty. It can be small, like a sudden question about your health, or it can be big, like a fear about your future. Whatever the trigger is, it activates a signal inside the mind. The mind says, "Pay attention. This could be dangerous." This is the first step of the cycle, a threat signal. Most of the time, the threat is emotional rather than physical, but the mind reacts the same way. It prepares for danger, even when danger does not exist. The next step is interpretation. The mind begins to explain the threat. It tries to make sense of the feeling. If you feel a small sensation in your chest, the mind might say, "Something is wrong." If you receive a message from someone, and it sounds unclear, the mind may assume the worst. This interpretation is often exaggerated. The mind chooses the most dramatic explanation because it believes it is protecting you. Once the interpretation begins, the cycle moves to reaction. Your body joins the process. Your heart beats faster. Your breath becomes shallow. Your muscles tighten. Your senses sharpen. This is because the body listens to the mind. When the mind says there is danger, the body prepares to fight, freeze, or escape. A man once described this process as falling into a tunnel. He said his anxiety felt like a rush that started with one worry, and then swallowed everything else. He knew the fear was exaggerated, yet he could not stop the process. He felt his chest tighten before he even understood what triggered it. This is the essence of the anxiety cycle. It takes over before you have the chance to reason with it. The next stage is reinforcement. Your mind notices the physical response in your body. You feel the tension. You feel the fast breath. You feel the discomfort. Your mind interprets these sensations as proof. It says, "See, something really is wrong." This reaction strengthens the fear, even if the fear began from a harmless thought. This creates a loop. Thought creates fear. Fear creates body reaction. Body reaction convinces the mind that fear is real, and the cycle continues. There is another part of the cycle that is often overlooked: avoidance. When anxiety becomes too strong, you begin to avoid situations that trigger it. You avoid conversations. You avoid decisions. You avoid places or people that bring pressure. At first, this avoidance feels like relief, but it actually makes the cycle stronger. The message your mind receives is simple: if I avoid this, I feel safe. This teaches the brain that the situation is dangerous, even if it never was. So the mind grows more reactive, and the anxiety becomes more intense. Real-world examples show how powerful this cycle can be. A student avoids opening an important email because she fears bad news. The longer she waits, the stronger the fear becomes. By avoiding the email, she teaches her mind that checking it is dangerous. So the next time a message arrives, her anxiety jumps immediately. A parent constantly checks on their child, even when the child is safe. Every check gives a moment of relief, but the relief reinforces the idea that danger is always present. The parent becomes trapped in a cycle of fear and reassurance. A worker hesitates to share an idea because he fears judgment. Avoiding the moment feels safe, but each attempt to avoid reinforces the belief. Speaking up is risky. The anxiety grows stronger than the truth. Anxiety continues because the cycle feeds itself. It needs one spark to begin. After that, the cycle repeats automatically unless you interrupt it. You might wonder why the mind reacts this way. It is because the mind is wired to look for danger first. It wants to keep you alive. But in modern life, most threats are emotional, not physical. Your mind has not updated its system, so it reacts to stress the way it once reacted to predators, with intensity, with urgency, with speed. The purpose of this chapter is not to judge the anxiety cycle. It is to show how it works. Because once you see the cycle, you gain power. You can recognize the spark before it becomes a storm. You can notice the interpretation before you accept it as truth. You can sense the body reaction and understand it as a signal, not a warning. You can shift the loop instead of sinking into it. Later chapters will offer tools to interrupt the cycle, tools to calm the mind, tools to relax the body, tools to break the pattern of fear and avoidance. For now, the goal is awareness. Awareness is the first step in freeing yourself from automatic fear. The anxiety cycle is not a sign of weakness. It is a system that has been running without your permission. And now for the first time you can see how it works. With that clarity, you are already beginning to change it. Chapter 4. Your inner narrator. There is a voice inside your mind. You hear it every day. Even when you are not aware of it. It comments on your actions. It judges your choices. It reminds you of past mistakes. It warns you about the future. This voice is your inner narrator. Your inner narrator is not a single thought. It is the ongoing story your mind tells about your life. It explains who you are. It explains what you can do. It explains what you should fear. And it shapes the way you see the world. Every person has this narrator. Yet very few people truly listen to it. They hear the words, but they do not question them. They accept the voice as truth, even when the voice is unkind, inaccurate, or outdated. Your narrator began forming long before you ever realized it. It grew from the things you were told as a child. It grew from the feedback you received at school. It grew from the expectations of your family, your culture, and your surroundings. Over time, it became the background sound of your inner life. Some narrators are gentle. They guide with calm words and steady confidence. But many narrators are harsh. They criticize, they blame, they warn, they push. They repeat old fears and old beliefs that no longer match who you are today. A woman once described her narrator as a strict teacher in her head. Every time she tried something new, the voice told her she would fail. Every time she made progress, the voice warned her not to trust it. She lived in a constant battle between her goals and the voice that questioned every step. It took time for her to realize the narrator was not giving truth. It was giving old lessons from a childhood filled with criticism. Another man said his narrator sounded like a worried parent, always predicting disasters. He said it felt like someone whispering, "Be careful," every time he made even a simple decision. He knew the fears were exaggerated, but the voice felt real because it came from inside him. Your narrator does not always speak with words. Sometimes it speaks with feelings. A sudden heaviness in your chest, a sense of shame, a wave of doubt. These sensations often come from the narrator's story about you, a story shaped by past experiences, old pain or long-standing fear. But here is the truth. Many people never learn. Your narrator is not you. It is your conditioning. It is your memory. It is your history. It is your training. It speaks from habit, not from wisdom. When you confuse your narrator with your identity, you feel trapped by your thoughts. You believe the labels it gives you. You believe the limits it sets for you. And you live inside a story that does not reflect your true strength. To change your mental world, you must learn to observe this narrator. Not fight it, not silence it. Simply notice it. Imagine you are watching a movie. The narrator speaks in the background, describing the scene. In your mind, the same thing happens. Your thoughts describe your life. Your thoughts explain your fears. Your thoughts create meaning. But when you step back and listen as an observer, you gain power. You see the narrator as a storyteller, not a judge. Here is a simple exercise. Think of a recent worry. Notice the sentence your mind uses to express it. Maybe it says, "You are not ready." Maybe it says, "Something will go wrong." Maybe it says, "You always fail at this." Once you hear the sentence, pause. Ask yourself, is this the truth? Or is this the narrator? You will often find that the voice sounds familiar because you have heard it for years, because it has repeated the same fears many times. Its power comes from repetition, not accuracy. Your inner narrator also shapes the way you experience anxiety. When the narrator speaks in fearful tones, your body reacts. When the narrator predicts danger, your mind prepares for stress. This is why learning to understand your narrator is essential for mental peace. Another important part of the narrator's influence is its tendency to add meaning. If someone does not respond to your message, the narrator may create a negative story. Maybe they are ignoring you. Maybe you upset them. Maybe something terrible happened. Your narrator fills the silence with its own interpretation, even when no evidence exists. This habit creates unnecessary stress and emotional noise. The narrator also loves to repeat old stories. Stories about times you struggled. Stories about times you failed. Stories about people who hurt you. These stories feel real because they carry emotional weight, but they do not define who you are today. They are chapters from your past, not predictions for your future. The goal of this chapter is not to silence your narrator. You do not need to erase the voice inside your mind. You need to understand it. You need to recognize when it is helpful and when it is not. You need to guide it rather than follow it blindly. Over time you can reshape your narrator. You can teach it new stories. Stories that reflect growth, strength and possibility. Stories that support you rather than weaken you. Stories that create calm instead of chaos. This process begins with awareness. Once you notice the narrator, you can question it. Once you question it, you can redirect it. Once you redirect it, you can rewrite the inner story that has shaped your life. In the next chapter you will explore the triggers that activate this narrator and increase mental noise. These triggers often go unnoticed, yet they influence your mood and your thinking every day. Understanding them will help you build clarity, stability and a quieter mind. Your narrator does not control you. You can guide it with patience and awareness. And with time the voice inside your mind can become an ally instead of an obstacle. Chapter 5. Mental noise and its triggers. Mental noise is the constant activity that lives inside the mind. It shows up as overthinking, worry, sudden fear, pressure, or restless thoughts that refuse to settle. You may not always notice it, but you feel its effects. Your focus becomes fragile, your emotions feel heavier, your decisions become harder. Mental noise is the invisible interference that disrupts your peace. To quiet this noise, you must first understand what activates it. Mental noise does not appear without a cause. It has triggers. Some are obvious, some are subtle. All of them shape the way your mind reacts to life. The first major trigger is uncertainty. The mind dislikes the unknown. When the future feels unclear, the mind starts preparing for every possible outcome. It creates scenarios. It imagines problems. It searches for answers that do not exist yet. This creates mental noise that grows louder with every new thought. Imagine waiting for a test result or an important message. You check your phone again and again. You replay conversations in your head. You imagine the worst. Nothing has happened. Yet the mind behaves as though danger is already here. This is the power of uncertainty. It pushes the mind into overdrive. Another common trigger is emotional residue. These are feelings that were never processed, stress that was never released, sadness that was never expressed, frustration that was pushed down. When emotions stay unacknowledged, they do not disappear. They settle into the background and create noise without warning. You may notice this when a small event triggers a big emotional reaction. Someone cuts you off in traffic, and you feel an intense rush of anger. A minor comment feels deeply hurtful. These reactions often come from unresolved emotions, not from the event itself. A third trigger for mental noise is pressure. Pressure to perform, pressure to succeed, pressure to meet expectations, pressure to be strong, pressure to please others. The mind takes on these demands as tasks it must solve, so it becomes crowded with thoughts about what you should do, what you should avoid, and what you must accomplish. This pressure often begins early in life and never stops. A student trying to meet family expectations, an employee trying to impress a manager, a parent trying to stay strong for their children. All these roles add weight to the mind, and when the mind feels full, even simple tasks feel overwhelming. Another powerful trigger is comparison. Comparison arises when you look at others and measure your life against theirs. You compare your progress, your looks, your success, your relationships, and even your happiness. This habit creates noise because the mind constantly evaluates and judges. It says you are behind, or you should be better, or you are not enough. These thoughts create pressure and insecurity which feed mental noise. Social media intensifies this trigger. You see the highlights of other lives and forget they are not the full story. Your mind reacts as if you have failed. A single scroll can activate hours of mental noise. A fifth trigger is unfinished tasks. The mind holds on to anything that feels incomplete. This includes overdue work, unsolved problems, unanswered messages, and decisions you have avoided. Each unfinished item occupies space in your mind. You may not think about it consciously, but the mind carries it like a small weight. When many of these small tasks accumulate, they create a constant hum of tension. Another trigger is environmental stress. Crowded spaces, loud sounds, chaotic surroundings, poor lighting, lack of personal space. These conditions activate survival instincts in the brain. Even if you do not feel stressed, the environment sends signals that something is not right. The mind becomes alert and cannot relax. A worker once shared that he felt overwhelmed every day, but did not know why. His job was not demanding. His relationships were fine, but his workspace was cluttered, noisy, and filled with interruptions. He later realized the environment kept his mind in a constant state of alertness. Once he reorganized his space and reduced noise, his mental clarity improved dramatically. Another major trigger is past experiences. Old memories that carry pain or fear can create noise even years later. When something in the present reminds you of something from the past, the mind reacts instantly. You may feel anxious without understanding why. This is because the brain stores emotional memories and activates them when it senses similarity. This reaction is automatic, yet it feels very real. There is also the trigger of information overload. Today the mind receives more information in a week than people once received in a year. Messages, notifications, tumors, opinions, content. Everything demands attention. This constant flow of information overwhelms the mind and makes it difficult to think clearly. The mind becomes crowded, even if the information is not important. Finally, one of the most overlooked triggers is self-judgment. When you criticize yourself, the mind reacts strongly. It tries to defend, justify, or argue with your own thoughts. This creates internal conflict, which becomes one of the loudest forms of mental noise. A harsh inner voice does not motivate you. It paralyzes you. It creates tension that spreads into every part of your day. Understanding these triggers is the first step toward reducing mental noise. Each trigger gives you a clue about what your mind needs. When you know the cause, you can guide your thoughts with more clarity and compassion. In the next chapters you will learn how to slow the mind, step out of these triggers and create calm from within. You will gain tools to interrupt the noise before it grows louder. For now, remember this: mental noise is not random. It is a response to something, and once you understand the trigger, you can begin to change the outcome. Chapter 6. Slow the mind. Slow the storm. A busy mind feels like a storm. Thoughts move fast. Emotions rise quickly. Small worries grow into heavy tension. When the mind speeds up, everything inside you feels louder and harder to control. This speed is what makes stress overwhelming. It is not only the thoughts themselves, it is the pace at which they arrive. To find calm, you do not need to silence every thought. You do not need to solve every worry. You simply need to slow the mind. When the mind slows down, clarity rises, breathing deepens, emotions soften, your body relaxes, and the storm begins to fade. Slowing the mind is not about forcing stillness. It is about creating space. Space between your thoughts. Space between your reactions. Space between your stress and your sense of peace. One simple truth guides this chapter. A slow mind cannot produce a fast storm. The rhythm of the mind. Your mind works in rhythms. Sometimes the rhythm is steady. Sometimes it is chaotic. You feel these rhythms even if you do not notice them directly. When the rhythm speeds up, you feel rushed, pressured or overwhelmed. When the rhythm slows down, you feel grounded, focused and present. The goal is not to eliminate the fast rhythm entirely. Fast thinking has its place. It helps you solve problems and stay alert. But when the fast rhythm becomes the default, the storm never ends. Learning to adjust your mental rhythm is one of the most powerful tools for emotional balance. The power of pausing. Most people react instantly to their thoughts. A worry appears, and they jump into a story. A fear appears, and they imagine the worst. A memory appears, and they relive the emotion. A pause interrupts this automatic reaction. Even a short pause changes the entire experience. A pause is a moment of breathing, a moment of noticing, a moment of stepping back. Imagine someone hands you a glass of cloudy water. If you shake it, the water becomes more cloudy, but if you set the glass down and let it rest, the particles slowly fall to the bottom. The water becomes clear again. Your mind works the same way. When you pause, your thoughts settle. The clouds in your mind begin to fall. Clarity rises without effort. A single breath can create this pause. A slow inhale, a slow exhale. This is enough to shift the rhythm of the mind. The body slows the mind. When you try to slow the mind using the mind alone, the process is hard. Thoughts chase each other. You try to relax, but new worries appear. This is why the body is the gateway to calming the mind. Your breath, your posture, your muscles and your senses all influence your internal state. When you slow the body, the mind follows. Try this simple practice. Drop your shoulders. Loosen your jaw. Relax your hands. Take one slow breath. These actions send a message to your nervous system. They say, you are safe. You can slow down now. Your mind listens. This is why grounding techniques are so effective. They pull your awareness out of the storm and bring you back into the present moment. The 5-second reset. Here is a reset you can use anywhere. When you feel overwhelmed, pause and take the following steps. Step 1. Look around. Notice 3 objects near you. Step 2. Listen. Identify one sound in the room. Step 3. Breathe. Take one slow breath in. Take one slow breath out. This takes only a few seconds, yet it slows the mind instantly. It interrupts the storm before it grows stronger. The power of single focus. Mental storms grow from scattered attention. When your attention jumps from past to future, from fear to worry, from pressure to expectation, your mind speeds up. The storm intensifies. Single focus slows everything down. You do not need to meditate for long periods to achieve this. You simply need to bring your attention to one thing, one task, one breath, one moment. For example, if you are washing your hands, focus on the water. If you are walking, focus on your steps. If you are eating, focus on the taste. This simple act trains your mind to settle. It teaches your awareness to rest instead of scatter, letting thoughts pass. You do not need to force thoughts away. Mental force creates more noise. Instead, imagine each thought as a cloud passing across the sky. You can notice the cloud without chasing it. You can watch it without trying to change it. This gentle observation slows the mind naturally. The storm continues only when you hold on to the clouds. Thoughts lose power when you allow them to pass. A story of slowing down. A man once said his mind felt like a room full of radios. Every radio played a different channel. He felt pulled in every direction. Work, family, money, memories, fear, all speaking at once. He tried to think his way out of the noise, but the noise grew louder. Then he learned one simple practice. He paused for 30 seconds each morning and took 3 slow breaths. At first nothing changed, but after a few weeks he noticed something. The radios were still there, but they were quieter. They no longer controlled him. He had slowed the mind and the storm softened. This is the power of small, consistent slowing, creating space in the mind. Your goal is not to eliminate thoughts. Your goal is to create space around them. When there is space, thoughts lose their intensity. Fear loses its grip. Worry becomes manageable, and your mind no longer feels like a storm that controls your life. Small moments of slowing create long-term peace. One breath, one pause, one moment of awareness. These are the steps that clear mental storms. In the next chapter, you will learn how to break the loops that hold your thoughts in place. Slowing the mind prepares you for that work. It softens the storm so you can see the patterns more clearly. With patience and practice, slowing your mind becomes a habit, a natural rhythm, a way of living, and from that rhythm calm grows. Chapter 7. Break the loop. A looping mind feels like a trap. You think the same thought again and again. You replay the same fear. You revisit the same worry. You turn a small moment into a long mental journey that never seems to end. These loops do not begin with intention. They begin with habit. Your mind has learned a rhythm of returning to the familiar, even when the familiar causes stress or fear. Breaking mental loops does not require force. It requires awareness, interruption, and redirection. When you understand how loops work, you can break them gently and effectively. The nature of a loop. A loop begins with a trigger, a thought, a memory, a sensation. The trigger activates a story. The mind knows well. The story may be about danger. It may be about failure. It may be about something you could not control in the past. Once the story begins, the mind repeats it because repetition feels familiar. Familiar feels safe. So the loop continues. A woman once described her loop as walking in circles inside my own head. She knew the thought was not helpful, but she could not stop returning to it. Her mind kept pulling her back to the same idea, even when she wanted to let it go. She later learned that her loop was not about the thought itself. It was about the feeling underneath the thought. The loop stayed alive until she addressed the feeling. This is the truth most people do not see. Mental loops are fueled by emotion, not logic. Step 1. Name the loop. You cannot break a loop you cannot see. The first step is to name what is happening. Ask yourself, what thought keeps returning? What fear keeps repeating? What story refuses to fade? When you name the loop, you separate yourself from it. You shift from being inside the loop to observing it from outside. This simple act reduces the loop's power. Step 2. Notice the pattern. Loops follow patterns. They begin with a spark, then they speed up, then they repeat. Your job is to notice the early stage of the pattern, the moment before the loop gains momentum. For example, you may notice a tightness in your chest. You may notice a familiar phrase your mind repeats. You may notice an old emotion rising. This early awareness allows you to interrupt the loop before it expands. Step 3. Interrupt the loop. The most effective interruptions are simple. They do not require deep focus or long explanations. They simply break the rhythm of the loop. Here are a few examples. A physical shift. Stand up. Stretch your arms. Change your environment. Movement breaks mental patterns. A sensory shift. Touch something around you. Run your fingers along your desk. Notice a sound in the room. This pulls your awareness back into the present. A breathing shift. Take one slow breath in. Take one slow breath out. A single breath disrupts the loop's momentum. Interruption does not solve the thought, but it breaks the automatic cycle. Step 4. Question the loop. Once the loop is interrupted, you can question it from a clearer state. Ask, is this thought true? Is this fear current or old? Is this my voice or a voice I learned from someone else? Does this thought help me? These questions weaken the emotional charge. Loops rely on automatic belief. When you question them, you break their structure. Imagine a wheel spinning. When you place even a small object between the spokes, the wheel slows. Questioning thoughts works the same way. It slows the loop. Step 5. Redirect the mind. Breaking a loop is not only about stopping something. It is about guiding your mind towards something different. Your mind needs a new direction, a new focus, a new rhythm. Choose something simple, a task, a breath, a physical action, a gentle affirmation. For example, I am here in this moment. I can choose a different thought. This feeling will pass. My mind is learning to calm. These phrases are not meant to erase the loop. They are meant to lead your mind out of it. The rule of 2 minutes. When a loop feels strong, give yourself 2 minutes. 2 minutes of breathing, 2 minutes of presence, 2 minutes of stepping away from the thought. This small time frame prevents the loop from consuming your day. It teaches your mind that you do not need to follow every thought that appears. A man once said he used the 2-minute rule during stressful work days. Whenever a loop began, he paused for 2 minutes. He walked, breathed, or stretched. He noticed the difference after a week. The loops came less often. When they did come, they no longer controlled him. His mind learned a new rhythm. Why loops? Loops power. Loops thrive on repetition. They weaken when repetition breaks. The moment you interrupt the pattern, the loop loses fuel. Your brain begins to form new pathways. It learns that you do not need to return to the same thought again and again. Over time, this becomes a natural skill. You catch the loop early. You interrupt it quickly. You redirect your focus easily. The loop becomes only a whisper, instead of a storm. You are not your loop. This chapter is not about forcing yourself to think perfectly. It is about remembering that loops are habits, not identity. You are not your repeating thoughts. You are not your old stories. You are not your mental cycles. You are the awareness behind them. You are the one who observes. You are the one who chooses. You are the one who can break the loop. In the next chapter, you will learn how clarity rises when mental clutter fades. You will explore how to organize thoughts and separate truth from fear. Each step builds on the one before it. And with each step, your mind becomes lighter, calmer, and easier to guide. For now, remember this. Loops are not permanent. They are patterns, and patterns can be changed. Chapter 8. The Power of Clarity. Clarity is one of the most valuable states of mind a person can experience. It changes the way you think. It changes the way you feel. It changes the way you move through your life. Yet clarity is rare because most people live inside a cloud of thoughts, pressures, and expectations that blur their inner world. Clarity is not the absence of thought. It is the ability to see your thoughts for what they are. Clarity is not perfection. It is direction. It is the moment when the noise fades just enough for you to understand what truly matters. When you gain clarity, decisions become easier. Emotions become lighter. Stress loses its grip, and life begins to feel more manageable. But clarity does not appear on its own. You create it. You shape it. You practice it. And with time it becomes a natural way of thinking. What clarity really means. Clarity is knowing what you feel without confusion. It is understanding what you want without pressure from others. It is separating what is true from what your fears are trying to tell you. Clarity helps you see your situation without the fog of assumptions. It helps you understand your reactions without judgment. It helps you focus without being pulled in every direction at once. A clear mind is not empty. It is organized. It is calm. It is steady. Think of a drawer stuffed with random items. You open it, and everything inside feels chaotic. You do not know what belongs where. You do not know what you need or what you can throw away. Now imagine the same drawer neatly arranged. You open it, and everything has a place. You see what you need. You see what no longer matters. You feel in control. This is what clarity does for your inner world. Why clarity gets lost. Clarity disappears when the mind becomes crowded. It fades when emotions become tangled. It weakens when pressure builds. And it gets buried under layers of thoughts that overlap and collide. Here are some common reasons clarity gets lost. Too many priority. When everything feels urgent, nothing feels clear. Too much information. The mind cannot focus when overloaded with input. Conflicting emotions. Fear, hope, doubt and desire can create a swirl that hides the truth. External expectations. When you live by what others want from you, your own direction becomes blurry. Unprocessed experiences. Old hurt can change the way you interpret new moments. These are not weaknesses. They are signals. Signals that your mind needs space and guidance. Clarity begins with separation. To gain clarity, you must separate your thoughts into categories. There are thoughts that are true. There are thoughts that are fear-based. There are thoughts that are assumptions. There are thoughts that are emotional echoes from the past. Clarity is the ability to tell the difference. Here is a simple exercise. The next time you feel overwhelmed, pause and ask, what is the fact? What is the fear? What is the story I am creating? What do I actually know? These questions gently pull you out of the fog. A woman once used this method during a difficult period at work. She felt unappreciated and feared she might be fired. When she separated her thoughts, she realized the fear came from past experiences, not her current situation. Her manager never criticized her. Her fear was an old echo, not a current truth. With this clarity, the emotional weight she carried began to fade. Clarity comes through simplification. The mind loves to complicate things. It adds details that do not matter. It imagines situations that may never happen. It tries to solve problems that do not need solutions yet. Clarity comes when you simplify. Ask yourself, what is the next small step? Not the whole future. Not every possible outcome. Just the next step. Clarity grows when you bring your attention to what you can control, not the entire picture. Not every fear, just the part that belongs to you. The storm calms when you focus on one direction instead of all directions at once. Clarity requires stillness. Clarity cannot grow in a chaotic internal environment. It appears when the mind slows. This is why moments of stillness are essential. Stillness is not silence. It is the act of giving your mind space to breathe. It is letting the thoughts settle so you can see what remains. Even 1 minute of stillness can shift your mental landscape. A quiet moment in the morning. A pause before a big decision. A slow breath during stress. When the mind rests, clarity rises. Clarity and emotional truth. Clarity is also emotional honesty. It is allowing yourself to acknowledge what you truly feel without fear or judgment. Sometimes clarity reveals something uncomfortable. You may realize you are tired. You may realize you are hurt. You may realize you are carrying too much. These truths are not weaknesses. They are doors. When you open them, you find the path toward healing and focus. A man once said he spent years chasing goals that never felt meaningful. When he finally paused and asked himself what he truly wanted, clarity arrived. He realized his goals were shaped by expectation, not passion. Once he saw this truth, his entire direction changed. Clarity frees you from paths that do not belong to you. Clarity strengthens decision-making. When the mind is unclear, decisions feel intimidating. You hesitate. You second-guess. You avoid taking action. Clarity gives you the confidence to move forward. It reduces doubt. It creates certainty in your next step. It strengthens your ability to act. A clear decision, even a small one, builds momentum. It tells your mind, I know where I am going. This confidence quiets mental noise and stabilizes emotion. The habit of clarity. Clarity is not a single moment. It is a habit, a way of thinking, a way of approaching life. You create clarity through daily actions. A pause, a breath, a moment of separation, a single focused task, a question that reveals truth. These small habits shape a clear mind over time. Clarity makes life lighter. When you understand the truth behind your thoughts, life feels lighter. You stop carrying unnecessary fears. You stop overthinking what you cannot change. You stop creating stories that drain your energy. Clarity is freedom. Freedom from confusion. Freedom from mental clutter. Freedom from emotional fog. In the next chapter you will explore how inner calm grows when you build clarity from the inside out. This calm does not depend on circumstances. It comes from understanding your mind and guiding it with intention. For now, remember this. Clarity is power. The quiet kind. The steady kind. The kind that allows you to move through life with confidence, direction, and peace. Chapter 9. Quiet from the inside out. Quiet is not something you find outside yourself. It is something you build within. True quiet does not depend on silence around you. It does not depend on a peaceful environment or a perfect moment. True quiet comes from the inside out. It is an inner state. A steady presence, a calm that remains even when life feels loud. Many people believe peace arrives when problems disappear. They tell themselves, I will feel calm once things get better. But peace does not grow from circumstances. It grows from awareness, attention, and understanding. It grows when you learn to relate to your mind with gentleness instead of fear. Quiet from the inside out is not an escape. It is not shutting down emotions. It is not ignoring your challenges. It is a way of meeting your inner world with softness and clarity. The root of inner quiet. Inner quiet begins when you stop fighting yourself. Most mental noise comes from internal resistance. You resist your emotions. You resist uncertainty. You resist discomfort. This resistance creates tension that grows louder over time. When you soften that resistance, your inner world expands. The tension loosens. Your mind stops pushing against itself, and quiet begins to form naturally. Imagine holding a rope in a tug of war against your own hands. No matter who wins, you are always losing energy. This is what happens when the mind fights the mind. Inner quiet starts when you let go of the rope, accepting the moment as it is. One of the strongest foundations of inner quiet is acceptance. Acceptance does not mean liking everything that happens. It means acknowledging reality as it is, instead of creating extra mental noise around it. When you say, this is how I feel right now, you stop fueling the storm. When you say, this moment is difficult but I can handle it, your body loosens. When you say, I do not need every answer today, your mind slows. Acceptance brings the mind back to a place where calm can grow. A man once shared that he used to fight every emotion he had. If he felt sad, he pushed himself to be positive. If he felt anxious, he told himself he should not feel that way. Every emotion became a battle. When he learned to accept his feelings without judgment, something changed. The emotions did not disappear, but the noise around them faded. He found quiet not by forcing calm but by allowing his inner world to be honest. The quiet behind the breath. The breath is one of the most reliable tools for building inner quiet. A slow breath signals safety. It signals presence. It signals calm. When you breathe slowly, your mind slows with it. Your nervous system shifts. Your inner rhythm softens. Try this simple rhythm. A slow inhale, a gentle pause, a slow exhale that is slightly longer, another pause. This pattern tells the body, you are safe. It shifts you from stress to steady awareness. It clears space for quiet to rise. Even a few breaths can create a noticeable shift. You feel more grounded. You feel more in control. You feel more connected to yourself. This is quiet from the inside out. Listening, without reacting. Inner quiet grows when you learn to listen to your thoughts without reacting to them. Most mental noise comes from immediate reactions. A thought appears, and you follow it. A fear arises, and you believe it. A worry shows up, and you imagine the worst. Quiet comes from observing the thought instead of joining it. You hear it. You notice it. But you do not race after it. Imagine sitting on a riverbank, watching the water move. You can see each ripple. You can watch each leaf float by, but you do not need to jump in. Your thoughts are the river. You are the one watching. When you stop diving into every thought, the river becomes peaceful. Your inner world grows quiet, even while thoughts continue to flow. The power of gentle awareness. Inner quiet is not created by force. It grows from gentle awareness. Awareness of your body. Awareness of your breath. Awareness of your emotions. Awareness of your thoughts. Gentle awareness is like turning on a soft light in a dark room. You begin to see what is there. You understand it. You stop fearing it. And with this understanding, your inner world calms. A woman once said she discovered quiet the moment she stopped trying to control every thought. She simply noticed them. Some thoughts were anxious. Some were hopeful. Some were old. Some were new. She stopped labeling them as good or bad. She let them be, and for the first time, she felt silence inside her mind. This silence came not from emptiness, but from understanding. Creating inner space. Quiet grows when you create space between yourself and your thoughts. Ask yourself, is this thought helpful? Is this feeling asking for attention or fear? Do I need to act on this, or can I let it pass? These questions create distance. Distance creates space. Space creates quiet. When you give your thoughts room to breathe, they lose their urgency. They stop crowding your mind. This inner space becomes your refuge, a place where clarity, calm and strength can grow. Quiet is a practice, not a moment. Inner quiet is not something you reach once and keep forever. It is a practice, a daily choice, a way of approaching your mind with openness instead of resistance. Some days will feel peaceful, some days will feel noisy. Both are normal. What matters is your ability to return to yourself, to come back to your breath, to come back to your awareness, to come back to the quiet within. With consistent practice, this quiet becomes part of your identity. You move through life with more steadiness, more patience, more confidence. You handle challenges with a calm center instead of a racing mind. Quiet changes everything. When quiet grows from the inside out, your world begins to change. You think more clearly. You respond more calmly. You feel more grounded. You trust yourself more deeply. Quiet is not the absence of life. It is the foundation that allows you to live fully. It connects you to your inner strength. It reveals your natural resilience. It becomes the space from which your best choices are made. In the next chapter, you will learn how to rewrite your inner story and replace old mental patterns with supportive, empowering ones. Quiet prepares the ground for that transformation. For now, remember this truth. Quiet is already within you. Your task is not to create it. Your task is to uncover it. Chapter 10. Rewriting the Inner Story. Every person lives with an inner story. It is the story you tell yourself about who you are, what you can do, and where your life is heading. This story shapes your confidence. It shapes your decisions. It shapes your emotional world. Most importantly, it shapes what you believe is possible. But here is the truth. Many people never realize. Your inner story is not fixed. It can be rewritten. It can be reshaped. It can be transformed into something stronger, kinder, and more aligned with your true self. For years, you may have repeated a story you never chose. A story built from old comments, painful moments, disappointments, or expectations placed on you long ago. These experiences become the voice inside your mind. That voice becomes your narrator, and that narrator becomes your story. Rewriting your inner story is one of the most powerful acts of mental transformation. It is the point where healing becomes growth, where patterns begin to change, and where clarity meets possibility. The origin of the inner story. Your inner story begins early in life. Children listen closely to the words spoken around them. A simple comment can become a belief. A quiet disappointment can become a fear. A moment of praise can become a strength. Over time, these moments join together. They form a story about who you are supposed to be. A student once shared that she grew up hearing, "You are too sensitive." After hearing this for years, she built a story that sensitivity was a weakness. As an adult, she hid her emotions and apologized for feelings that were natural and healthy. Her story was not based on truth. It was based on repetition. Another person said he grew up hearing, "You must be strong no matter what." His story became one of silent endurance. He never asked for help. He never showed his struggles. He carried everything alone because the story told him he had to. These stories shape the way we live, but they are not the only story available to us. Seeing the story clearly. The first step in rewriting the inner story is recognizing it. You may notice your story in the way you talk to yourself. You may notice it in patterns that repeat. You may notice it in fears that do not match your reality. You may notice it in the way you shrink, hesitate, or overthink. Ask yourself, what story am I repeating that no longer fits who I am? What belief keeps returning even when it holds me back? Whose voice does my narrator sound like? Does this story help me grow, or keep me stuck? These questions open the door to understanding, and understanding opens the door to change. Breaking the old story. An old story loses power when you stop feeding it. A thought becomes a story only when it is repeated. If you interrupt the repetition, the story weakens. Start by noticing moments when the old story appears. Moments when your mind says, "You always mess things up. No one cares. You will fail again. You are not good enough." Pause when you hear these messages. Identify them. Name them as old narratives, not present truth. You do not need to argue with the story. You only need to stop believing it automatically. When you take away automatic belief, the story begins to crumble. Creating a new inner voice. A new story begins with new language. Not dramatic affirmations that feel unrealistic, but gentle, grounded sentences that your mind can accept and trust. For example, instead of "I am not enough," you can say, "I am learning to value myself." Instead of "I always fail," you can say, "I am growing with each step." Instead of "I must be perfect," you can say, "I can do my best, and my best is enough." These small sentences begin to reshape the inner narrative. They guide your mind toward truth instead of fear. Over time, they become the new voice inside your head, aligning the story with your strengths. Your story should reflect your strengths, not only your struggles. Everyone has strengths, even if they forget them during difficult moments. Think of the times you overcame challenges, the times you adapted, the times you learned something new, the times you supported someone, the times you made progress, even when it was small. These moments are proof of your resilience. They deserve to be part of your story. When you include these strengths, your inner narrative becomes balanced. It becomes honest. It becomes supportive. Rewriting through action. A new story is not built only through thoughts. It grows through action. Every small step you take reinforces a new narrative. When you speak up, you strengthen the story of courage. When you try again, you reinforce the story of resilience. When you set boundaries, you reinforce the story of self-worth. When you rest without guilt, you reinforce the story of self-care. Each action becomes evidence, and evidence strengthens belief. A man once said he rewrote his story by choosing one small action every day. Some days it was a walk, some days it was a conversation, some days it was a moment of rest. Each choice added a new sentence to his story, and those sentences slowly replaced the old ones. Letting your story evolve. Your inner story should evolve as you do. You are not the same person you were 5 years ago. You are not the same person you were even 1 year ago. Your story should reflect your growth, your lessons and your new direction. It should reflect the person you are becoming, not the person you once were. Give yourself permission to update your story regularly. Allow it to expand. Allow it to change. Allow it to support who you are now. The freedom of a new story. Rewriting your inner story does not erase the past. It transforms the meaning you give it. Your challenges become lessons. Your mistakes become growth. Your fears become teachers. Your pain becomes part of your strength. A new story gives you freedom. Freedom from old limits. Freedom from old beliefs. Freedom from the inner weight that once shaped your life. In the next chapter, you will explore how letting go of what you cannot control deepens this freedom. You will learn how acceptance, surrender, and trust make your story lighter and more honest. For now, remember this simple truth. You are the author of your inner story. You can keep writing the same chapter again and again, or you can turn the page. You can choose a new direction. You can build a story that supports the life you want to live. The pen is in your hands. Chapter 11. Letting go of what you can't control. There are moments in life when your mind feels heavy, not because of what is happening inside you, but because of what is happening around you. The world moves in ways you cannot predict. People act in ways you cannot change. Situations unfold in ways you never expected, and when you try to control every part of it, the weight becomes overwhelming. Letting go of what you cannot control is not giving up. It is choosing freedom. It is choosing peace. It is choosing to direct your energy toward the parts of life that truly belong to you. Most of the stress that fills your mind does not come from what is happening, but from your resistance to what you cannot influence. You try to hold everything in place. You try to fix what is not yours to fix. You try to force outcomes that are beyond your reach. This resistance creates tension, frustration, and mental exhaustion. Letting go begins with understanding where your responsibility ends, the boundary between you and life. There is a clear boundary between what you can control and what you cannot control, but this boundary is often ignored. You may try to control someone's opinion. You may try to control the future. You may try to control events that depend on 1,000 other factors. In doing so, you drain yourself. What you can control is simple. Your choices, your effort, your attitude, your reactions, your direction, your behavior, your inner dialogue, your boundaries. These belong to you. Everything else is outside your hands. Not because you are weak, not because you are incapable, but because life is bigger than any one person. The moment you accept this truth, you reclaim your emotional strength. Why letting go feels hard? Letting go feels difficult because the mind seeks certainty. It wants the future to be predictable. It wants relationships to be stable. It wants situations to unfold exactly as imagined. Uncertainty threatens this desire for control. So the mind pushes harder. It tries to plan for every possibility. It tries to manage every detail. It tries to solve problems that do not exist yet. The more the mind tries to hold on, the more overwhelmed it feels. This is why letting go can feel like a loss. But it is not a loss. It is a shift. A shift from tension to trust. A shift from fear to acceptance. A shift from control to clarity. The weight of unnecessary ownership. Many people carry burdens that do not belong to them. You may take on someone else's emotions. You may carry guilt for choices that were never yours. You may hold yourself responsible for events outside your influence. A woman once said she felt responsible for everyone's happiness. She tried to solve every problem in her family. When someone was upset, she blamed herself. Her mind was filled with stress she did not own. When she finally learned to step back and allow others to carry their own emotional weight, she felt lighter than she had in years. Letting go is often about releasing responsibility you were never meant to carry. Letting go does not mean you do nothing. This is important. Letting go does not mean you ignore problems. It does not mean you stop caring. It does not mean you become indifferent. Letting go means you stop trying to control outcomes that are influenced by factors beyond your power. You can care without controlling. You can support without fixing. You can show up without managing everything. This balance protects your mental peace. Allow life to move. Life is a moving river. You can guide your own boat. You can choose your direction. You can adjust your pace. But you cannot control the flow of the river itself. When you stop fighting the current, you stop wasting energy. You start moving with life instead of against it. Letting go allows you to conserve your strength for what truly matters. Practicing the art of release. Letting go is a skill. It grows stronger with practice. Here are simple ways to begin. 1. Ask yourself what belongs to you. Is this your responsibility or someone else's? Focus on your next action, not the entire outcome. Outcomes are influenced by many forces. Actions are within your control. 3. Allow uncertainty to exist. You can move forward without knowing everything. 4. Accept what people choose for themselves. You cannot live their lives for them. 5. Give yourself permission to rest from mental battles that lead nowhere. Rest creates clarity. These small practices build the habit of emotional freedom. A story of release. A man once shared that he worried daily about his company's future. He worked hard. He planned carefully. But he spent hours thinking about factors he could not influence. Market changes, economic shifts, other people's decisions. He felt exhausted. One day he asked himself a simple question. Am I worrying about my effort or the outcome? The answer was clear. He worried about the outcome, an outcome he could not fully control. After that he began focusing only on what he could influence. His work improved. His stress decreased. His mind felt lighter. Letting go gave him energy he did not know he still had. Freedom through acceptance. Acceptance is not passive. It is powerful. It clears the mind. It softens the heart. It creates space for peace. Acceptance is the doorway to emotional freedom. When you accept what you cannot change, you reclaim the energy you once lost to worry. You find clarity in the present moment. You move through life with more confidence and less fear. Letting go frees your mind to focus on what truly belongs to you. What letting go makes possible. When you stop holding on to what you cannot control, your thoughts become calmer. Your emotions become steadier. Your relationships become healthier. Your decisions become clear. Your life becomes lighter. Control creates pressure. Letting go creates space. And in that space, clarity grows. Peace grows. Strength grows. In the next chapter, you will learn how building calm habits protects your mental peace and keeps your inner world steady. Letting go prepares the way for that deeper stability. For now, remember this simple truth. You are responsible for your effort, not the outcome. You are responsible for your choices, not the entire world. When you let go of what you cannot control, you return to yourself, and that return is where freedom begins. Chapter 12. Building a calm habit. Calm is not something you stumble upon. It is something you build, something you practice, something you return to again and again until it becomes part of who you are. A calm habit is not about being peaceful all the time. It is about creating daily rhythms that guide your mind back to steadiness, even when life feels chaotic. A habit of calm gives your mind a place to rest, a place to recharge, a place to reset when the noise becomes too loud. Most people wait for calm to appear on its own. They tell themselves, "I will feel better when things slow down." But days pass. Weeks pass. Life keeps moving. Calm never arrives because no time was created for it. Calm is built through intention. Why habits matter. The mind follows patterns. If your pattern is stress, your mind will return to stress. If your pattern is worry, your mind will return to worry. If your pattern is calm, your mind will return to calm. Habits shape these patterns. They teach your mind where to go. They form the pathways your thoughts follow. A calm habit is simply a consistent practice that slows your inner world and strengthens your emotional stability. It does not require long sessions or dramatic routines. Small, steady actions are enough. The foundation of a calm habit. A calm habit has three main elements: presence, being here, in the current moment; consistency, repeating the practice until it becomes natural; gentleness, approaching your mind with care rather than pressure. These elements create a stable base for long-term calm. Start with 1 minute. Many people believe calm requires long meditation sessions or major life changes. But calm begins with something much simpler. 1 minute. 1 minute of stillness. 1 minute of breathing. 1 minute of stepping out of mental noise. This small action trains the mind to pause. It teaches your nervous system that it is safe to slow down. Over time, 1 minute of calm grows into more. A man once shared that he began his calm habit by taking a single deep breath each morning. That small action became 2 breaths, then a slow stretch, then a quiet moment before starting work. Soon, his entire morning felt different. It began with calm instead of rush. Anchor points. Throughout the day, a calm habit grows stronger. When you place it in different parts of your day, these anchor points help your mind return to steadiness before stress builds. Here are a few powerful anchors. Morning grounding. Before you check messages, take a breath and sit for a moment. Let your mind wake up slowly. Midday pause. At some point in the afternoon, pause for 1 minute. Relax your shoulders. Loosen your jaw. Breathe. Evening, slow down. Before bed, take a few minutes to reflect. Ask yourself, what can I release from today? These small anchors protect your mind from spinning too fast. The calm habit of single focus. When your mind jumps between tasks, noise increases. A calm habit returns you to single focus. Choose one task. Give it your full attention. Finish it. Move to the next. This reduces overwhelm and builds mental clarity. Even simple tasks, like washing dishes or sending an email, can become grounding when done with full focus. The calm habit of gentle movement. Movement influences the mind more than most people realize. A slow walk, a gentle stretch, a few deep breaths with raised arms. These actions release tension stored in the body, and when the body relaxes, the mind follows. You do not need intense exercise to feel calm. Gentle movement is enough to shift your internal state. A woman once said she found calm by walking in circles around her living room for 3 minutes. She did it during stressful work days. It became her reset button. It brought her back from overwhelm to balance. The calm habit of mental decluttering. Each day brings thoughts that do not need to stay. Writing them down is a powerful way to clear mental space. Try this simple practice. At the end of the day, write down 3 thoughts you can let go of. They might be worries. They might be plans. They might be small frustrations. Once they are on paper, your mind releases them more easily. This decluttered space becomes fertile ground for calm. The calm habit of self-compassion. Calm grows when you treat yourself with kindness. Self-compassion is not indulgence. It is emotional stability. It is saying, I am doing my best. It is okay to rest. It is okay to feel this way. I can try again tomorrow. These phrases soften internal pressure. They shift your mind from tension to ease. A calm habit cannot develop in a harsh internal environment. It grows in a gentle one. The habit of putting things down. One of the simplest calm habits is the act of mentally putting things down. You pause and say to yourself, this thought can wait. This problem is not mine. This worry does not need attention right now. This practice teaches your mind that not every thought deserves energy. It creates emotional boundaries. It reduces unnecessary stress. Calm is built through repetition. A calm habit is not about perfection. It is about repetition. Some days will feel peaceful. Some days will feel loud. But each time you return to your habit, you strengthen the neural pathways of calm. You train your mind the same way you train a muscle, through small actions repeated with intention. When calm becomes a habit, it becomes a refuge, a place you can return to at any moment, a place that stays with you, even during stress. What a calm habit makes possible. A calm habit changes the texture of your life. You respond instead of react. You think clearly instead of chaotically. You feel grounded instead of scattered. Calm becomes your default, not your exception. You wake up with more clarity. You move through challenges with more stability. You trust yourself more. In the next chapter you will explore how emotional detox deepens this calm by releasing feelings that linger beneath the surface. These next steps will help you create emotional space for renewed strength and balance. For now, remember, this calm is not found. It is built, one quiet moment at a time. Chapter 13. Emotional Detox. Your mind is not the only place that becomes cluttered. Your emotions can become crowded too. feelings that were never expressed, moments that were never processed, words you swallowed instead of said, stress you carried because you felt you had no choice. All of these emotions settle inside you. They stack on top of each other until they become heavy. They shape your thoughts. They influence your reactions. They create tension you cannot fully explain. An emotional detox is the process of releasing what you have been holding. It is not dramatic. It is not loud. It is simple, steady, and deeply healing. It gives your inner world a chance to breathe. You detox your emotions not by forcing them out, but by letting them rise in a safe and gentle way. Why emotions pile up? Emotions pile up when life moves faster than your ability to process what you feel. You face stress and keep going. You feel disappointment and ignore it. You feel overwhelmed but pretend to be fine. You push aside your emotions because the moment demands strength or survival. Over time, these emotions do not disappear. They settle in your body. They turn into tension in your shoulders, tightness in your chest, or a heaviness behind your eyes. They change the background tone of your mind. A woman once said she felt exhausted every morning, even when she slept well. She later realized she carried years of suppressed feelings. She had never allowed herself to rest emotionally. Her emotional load became physical fatigue. This is why detoxing your emotions matters. You cannot carry everything forever. The first step, creating emotional space. Emotional detox begins with space. Space to feel. Space to breathe. Space to acknowledge what is happening beneath your thoughts. You do not need to sit with deep emotion for hours. You only need to give yourself permission to feel without judgment. You might ask yourself, what emotion am I holding right now? Where do I feel it in my body? What have I been avoiding? What needs attention that I have ignored? These questions bring hidden emotions to the surface. And when emotions surface, they begin to release. Letting yourself feel without fear. Many people fear their emotions. They worry that if they allow themselves to feel sadness, they will sink. That if they feel anger, they will lose control. That if they feel grief, they will break. But emotions do not break you. Feeling your emotions is not the same as drowning in them. It is simply noticing what is already inside you. A man once said he held his grief for years because he thought crying would make him weak. When he finally allowed himself to cry, the release felt like a weight dropping from his chest. The emotion did not destroy him. It freed him. The gentle release method. Here is a simple method to release emotions in a safe and steady way. 1. Notice the feeling. Name it gently. Sadness, frustration, loneliness, tension. 2. Locate it in the body. Every emotion has a physical echo, a place where it sits. 3. Breathe into it. A slow breath creates space. The emotion loosens. 4. Allow it to soften. No pressure, no force. Just permission to exist. 5. Let it move. Emotions are like waves. When you stop resisting them, they rise and fall naturally. This gentle path helps emotions leave without chaos. Speaking the unspoken part of emotional detox is giving voice to what you never said. Not to others, but to yourself. You might say, that moment hurt me. I felt ignored. I needed more support. I felt afraid. I deserved better. These statements validate your experience. They allow emotions to be witnessed, and witnessed emotions let go of their grip. You are not rewriting the past. You are releasing the emotional weight it left behind. Writing as emotional release. Writing is a powerful tool for emotional detox. It gives your mind a clear channel to express what it has carried. Try this simple practice. Write for 5 minutes without stopping. Do not worry about grammar. Do not worry about structure. Just write whatever rises. After 5 minutes stop. You may read it, or you may throw it away. The value is not in the words. The value is in the release. Many people feel lighter after this one practice. Letting go through the body. Some emotions cannot be released through thought alone. They need physical movement. A slow walk. A gentle stretch. A moment of shaking out your arms. A warm shower. Deep breaths with raised shoulders. These small actions help release emotions that became stuck in the body. Your body remembers what your mind has forgotten. So your body must be part of the detox. Creating emotional boundaries. Emotional detox is not only about releasing old feelings. It is also about preventing new emotional clutter from building too quickly. You protect your emotional space by setting boundaries. It might sound like I cannot take this on right now. I need time to process. That is not my responsibility. I need rest. These boundaries stop emotional overload before it starts. They give your mind room to recover. Emotional detox is ongoing. Emotions do not disappear forever. New ones will always come. This is part of being human. But when you build the habit of emotional release, emotions no longer pile up. They move through you instead of staying stuck. You feel lighter. You feel clearer. You feel more connected to yourself. In the next chapter, you will explore how mental boundaries protect this emotional clarity and help you maintain long-term inner peace. For now, remember this truth. Your emotions deserve to move, not stay trapped. When you release what you hold inside, your mind breathes again, and from that breath, peace begins to grow. Chapter 14. Mental boundaries. Your mind is a space, a living space, a personal space, a space that holds your thoughts, your emotions, your attention, and your energy. When you protect this space, you feel grounded and steady. When you let everything rush into it without limits, you feel overwhelmed, drained, and unfocused. Mental boundaries are the invisible lines that protect that space. They determine what enters your mind, how long it stays, and how much influence it has. They are not walls. They are filters. They help you choose what deserves your attention, and what does not. Most people guard their homes, their time, and their belongings. Yet very few guard their mental space. They let stress walk in. They let demands pile up. They let other people's emotions become their own, and they feel trapped without knowing why. Mental boundaries create freedom. They give you control over your inner world. They allow your mind to rest, reset, and restore. Why mental boundaries matter? Your mind cannot hold everything. It cannot process endless information. It cannot respond to every demand. It cannot solve every problem at once. When the mind has no boundaries, it becomes crowded. Thoughts collide. Emotions overlap. Responsibility expands beyond what is healthy. This is when mental fatigue sets in. Not because you are weak, but because you are carrying more than your mind was designed to hold. Mental boundaries bring order back to your inner world, the same way a clean space brings order to your environment. Where boundaries begin, mental boundaries begin, with one simple idea. Not everything deserves your attention. Some thoughts do not deserve your energy. Some conversations do not deserve your involvement. Some expectations do not deserve your effort. Some emotions belong to others, not you. When you understand this, you begin to protect your mind with intention. A man once shared that he felt exhausted every day, even though he had not done much physically. When he reflected, he realized his exhaustion came from mental overwhelm. He took on every emotion around him. He reacted to every message immediately. He ruminated on every small worry. Once he learned to say, "This is not mine," his mind finally felt lighter. Mental boundaries create that shift. Boundary 1: protecting your attention. Your attention is one of your most valuable resources. It decides what grows in your mind. It decides what you remember. It decides how you feel. Without boundaries, your attention gets pulled everywhere. Notifications, opinions, expectations, demands. A simple way to build this boundary is to pause before reacting and ask, does this deserve my attention? Does this help me? Is this part of my priorities or someone else's urgency? This pause gives you control. It pulls you out of automatic mental reaction. Your attention becomes intentional instead of accidental. Boundary 2: separating your emotions from other people's emotions. Many people carry emotional weight that is not theirs. They absorb someone else's sadness. They try to fix someone else's anger. They take responsibility for someone else's stress. But emotional responsibility has limits. You can support people. You can care for them. You can listen. But you cannot carry their emotions inside your mind as if they are your own. A simple boundary is this phrase: I can care, but I do not have to carry. This protects your emotional space without closing your heart. Boundary 3: distinguishing your problems from external pressure. Not every problem is yours to solve. Some problems belong to circumstances. Some problems belong to timing. Some problems belong to other people's decisions. Without boundaries, everything feels personal. Everything feels heavy. Everything feels urgent. Mental boundaries remind you, this is something I can influence. This is something I must release. This is something I do not need to fix. When you separate these categories, stress decreases immediately. Boundary 4: choosing what you allow into your mind. Your mental space is shaped by what you consume. The content you watch, the conversations you engage in, the environments you enter, the people you surround yourself with. Some information nourishes your mind. Some drains it. Some inspires you. Some overwhelms you. Ask yourself, does this help my peace? Does this support my growth? Does this make my mind clearer or noisier? Your mind becomes what you feed it. This boundary keeps your mental environment healthy. Boundary 5: setting limits on overthinking. You cannot prevent all thoughts from coming, but you can decide how long you engage with them. A powerful boundary is time. Give yourself a limit. For example, I will think about this for 2 minutes. I will review this problem once and then set it down. I will revisit this tomorrow instead of tonight. This protects your mental energy and stops thoughts from spiraling into loops. Making boundaries feel natural. At first, boundaries may feel unfamiliar. You may worry that you are being too distant or too firm. But boundaries are not barriers. They are healthy edges. Edges that keep you centered. Edges that keep you steady. Edges that keep your mind from being stretched beyond its limits. Over time, boundaries become natural. They become habits. They become part of the way you protect your peace. A woman once said she regained her mental balance when she learned to say, I need space without guilt. That one sentence became a boundary that changed her entire emotional life. Boundaries strengthen your calm. Mental boundaries are not about restriction. They are about clarity. They help you know where your inner world ends and where the outer world begins. With boundaries you can give more freely because your energy is protected. You can listen more clearly because your mind is not overloaded. You can think more calmly because your attention is guided. In the next chapter, you will explore the final piece of this journey, a long-term blueprint for maintaining a peaceful, steady mind. For now, remember this: your mind is a space worth protecting. When you set boundaries with clarity and compassion, your inner world becomes a place of strength, balance, and peace. Chapter 15. The Peaceful Mind Blueprint. A peaceful mind is not an accident. It is not something that appears when life becomes easy. It is something you build with intention, something you shape through choices, habits, and awareness. A peaceful mind grows from the inside out, just like strength, clarity, and resilience. This final chapter brings everything together. It offers a simple blueprint you can follow to maintain a steady, grounded inner world long after the noise of life returns. This blueprint is not complicated. It is not demanding. It is not rigid. It is a gentle structure that guides you toward long-term peace. A peaceful mind is built in layers. Each layer supports the next. Each one creates stability. Each one strengthens your inner foundation. Layer 1. Awareness. Awareness is the root of peace. You cannot change what you do not notice. You cannot guide a mind you never listen to. Awareness begins with small check-ins throughout the day. You pause and ask, what am I feeling right now? What is my mind focused on? Is there tension in my body? Do I need a moment to breathe? These questions bring you back to the present moment. They prevent your mind from drifting into worry, fear, or autopilot thinking. Awareness is not judgment. It is observation. Observation leads to understanding, and understanding leads to calm. Layer 2. Regulation. Once you are aware of your inner state, you can guide it gently. Regulation means calming the mind through simple practices such as slow breathing, grounding your body, relaxing your shoulders, softening your jaw, bringing your attention back to one task, taking a short pause before reacting. These small actions regulate your nervous system. They bring you back from stress to stability. A peaceful mind is not free from emotion. It is simply well regulated. It knows how to return to balance. Layer 3. Boundaries. Boundaries protect your mental space. Without them, your mind becomes crowded with noise that does not belong to you. Boundaries help you decide where your attention goes, what you take personally, what emotional weight is yours to carry, what responsibilities belong to others, which conversations support your peace, which situations drain your energy. When you set clear boundaries, you reduce mental overload. Your mind becomes lighter. Your thoughts become clearer. Your emotions become more manageable. Boundaries keep your peace safe. Layer 4. Release. A peaceful mind is a mind that does not hold everything. You let go of thoughts that do not serve you. You release emotions that have stayed too long. You stop replaying stories that no longer reflect who you are. You put down responsibilities that were never yours. You accept uncertainty without trying to control it. Release is not forgetting. It is freeing. It allows your inner space to breathe. Many people try to create peace while holding on to everything, but peace grows only when you release what is heavy. Layer 5. Clarity. Clarity is the compass of a peaceful life. It helps you move with purpose, instead of confusion. It helps you separate real concerns from imagined fears. It helps you make decisions with less stress and more confidence. Clarity comes from simplifying your thoughts. You focus on what matters. You stop trying to solve 10 problems at once. You look at situations with honesty, rather than anxiety. Clarity shows you where to place your energy, and where to pull your energy back. A peaceful mind needs clarity, the way a ship needs direction. Layer 6. Calm habits. Peace is built through repetition. Small daily habits create long-term calm. These habits might include a morning breath practice, a midday pause, a walk without your phone, a few minutes of journaling, a grounding routine before bed, a rule of single focus on important tasks. You do not need many habits, just a few done consistently. These practices tell your mind, this is our rhythm now, and rhythm creates inner peace. Layer 7. Self-compassion. The final layer of a peaceful mind is kindness toward yourself. Self-compassion softens harsh self-talk. It reduces perfectionism. It eases inner pressure. It allows you to rest without guilt. It gives you permission to be human. Without self-compassion, peace cannot last, because the inner critic will always disturb it. Self-compassion tells your mind, I am trying. I am learning. I can move at my pace. I am worthy of calm. These messages shape a gentle internal world. Putting the blueprint together. The Peaceful Mind Blueprint is not a strict formula. It is a guide, a way of living with intention and care. Awareness helps you understand yourself. Regulation helps you calm your inner storms. Boundaries protect your mental space. Release clears emotional clutter. Clarity focuses your direction. Habits reinforce your peace. Self-compassion holds everything together. Together they form a steady, resilient, grounded inner world. A story of transformation. A man once said he felt overwhelmed every day. He lived in cycles of worry and pressure. He believed peace was something other people found but not him. When he started using this blueprint, he took it one layer at a time. First he became aware of his thoughts. Then he learned to regulate his reactions. He set boundaries he had avoided for years. He released parts of his past he had carried too long. He practiced clarity. He built small habits. He learned to treat himself gently. Months later he said something simple. I still have challenges, but they no longer control my mind. This is what peace looks like. Not a perfect life, but a steady inner world. Your blueprint moving forward. You have learned how your mind works, what fuels noise, what quiets it, and how to build lasting clarity. This blueprint is now yours. You can return to it whenever life becomes overwhelming. You can grow it, adjust it, and shape it to fit who you are becoming. Peace is not a destination. It is a direction, a daily choice, a gentle practice, and with every step you take, your mind becomes a place that feels safe, calm, and truly yours. You have the blueprint. Now you can build the life that grows from it.